So with the spacer mounted on the front of this, without the spacer, the notch right here gives me perfect clearance. Now with the spacer, that extra 1 liter spacer on the intake plenum, if I just notch out just this little corner right here, because it's just touching the housing, this part of the corner of the plenum is just touching the housing. So if I notch out this corner, then we can have this huge plenum mounted on the front of this vehicle without it making any contact with the radiator at all. So let's notch this out and do another test fit, and then I can do a picture and quick video shoot from above and below to see what we're looking like. Okay, let's take a look at what we have. So I have this monster plenum up in here, and this is the beautiful part about this. I still got wiggle room to maneuver this around. As you can see, look at here. If I can move it around loosely like this, that means if it's fixed and welded in place, I have good clearance. So with it just held up into position like this, it's hard to see down in here, but I still have at least an inch clearance from my radiator, at least an inch. It's hard to see from the video, but just holding it in position like this, if I let it loosely fall, of course it's going to drop up against it. But with me notching that little extra corner of plastic out, we have some good clearance. That's a better shot right there. I'm holding the camera with one hand. Let's see if I can throw a little bit of light down there. We can see what's happening. Pull this back into position. If I can get an angle. All right, there we go. Okay, let's see what we have here. So front end just lightly bolted back into position. This monster ultra race center feed intake manifold is actually fitting in my engine compartment. Teddy's, to be politically correct, but I'm owning it because my heart and my heart is going into this. So in our engine compartment, 5 liter plenum, 1 liter spacer, we're talking easy 6 liters of volume going into this bad boy. And as you can see, I got room to maneuver this around without even touching the radiator. We have an easy inch clearance from my radiator without touching, and that is great. It's hard to see from this angle, but we're running an easy inch from our radiator, which is great to be able to fit this plenum in here with this much volume. Now, from the bottom, I had to remove the fan that did not work. The fan that had pretty much rusted up in place. That's behind me right here. I cut it out. So apparently this fan was locked up in here. As you can see, it won't even spin. It rusted up, so it was never working. I'm gonna put a pusher fan on the front of the car, but this fan was not even working at all. So it was just locked up. So we pretty much had the primary larger fan cooling his car all along. And we're going to definitely be producing a lot more horsepower, at least 3 to 4 times the amount as this original engine was making, with all of this massive plumbing and pumping source. But from the bottom, let's take a look. So we look a whole lot better. Let's get a little light up under here. From the bottom, as you can see right here, I can drop straight down with a 3-inch pipe. So let's get a little extra light up in here. Look at this. That is nice. Now it's just leaning up against the radiator because it's loosely hanging. But if I maneuver this around, as you can see, I can get a whole different angle. And I will pretty much position it on an angle where I can still get some clearance for my 3.5-inch pipe to drop down. I'm probably saying 3-inch also, but it's actually going to be a 3.5-inch pipe coming off this. And if you can see that circle, we have straight clearance coming straight down. So I'll run a 3.5-inch pipe down, bring it into a 90, feed it in between here, which is still a tight squeeze, but I can get 3.5 inches between here and here. Yep. And yes, we're going to be talking tight, very tight. But it's no big deal, because even if this is aluminum, I can shift this pipe back and give me even extra clearance and push this hose a little bit closer to the radiator. So I'll still have a straight shot through with my 3-inch pipe and come out here to a 90 and run my throttle body right here. Now I'm going to run a vibrant clamp. I already have the adapter and everything to run a vibrant clamp to my Bosch Motorsport throttle body. So we're running a 90mm throttle body, and we'll be able to come off with my vibrant clamp from off my intercooler, run it straight over here into the throttle body, 90, shoot straight up to another 90, and just that pipe work itself will be at least another 1 or 2 liters of plenum volume. So we're talking easy 7 liters of possible intake volume feeding this hungry beast. And this engine's going to be hungry, and I need to feed it. I need to feed it. So I need to feed it plenty of air, hence the turbo, and we'll be going even bigger in the future, but as well as plenty of fuel. And we're talking the provisions for my staged injectors, my 6 injectors here, as well as the 3 factory injectors that we're going to run also. So along with that is, I definitely want to upgrade the factory injectors to see if we can find some aftermarket injectors or have some custom made that can flow enough fuel to at least maintain at least, I want to say 600 or 700 wheel horsepower, 700 wheel, at least 6 or 7, but at least 700 wheel horsepower off of the stage factory injectors, or the original port, the direct injection. I want to run at least 700 wheel horsepower with it, and then I have my stage injectors kick in around 800 plus and start feeding this bad boy plenty of fuel along with all the air that this thing is going to push. So let's go ahead and now start making preparation for cutting some pipes, because I still have a lot to do. I have to notch out the cylinder head, clock these counterclockwise so that they're not blocking my injector ports right here. The top 3, the bottom is no problem. So we'll cut off this little lip right here on the cylinder head, and you can probably see it better right here. Cut that lip off right here. Clock these counterclockwise so that way I can go ahead and mount the other injectors in place, and then have room to be able to plug these in and just keep it moving. But I can only clock but so much, just a little bit. I can't clock it totally 90, but enough to clear the ejector right here, because my fuel rail is going to be running straight across right here. And we'll see how far I can kind of rotate this around to clear the top fuel rail, as well as clear my injector boss port also. So we'll see what we can do with that. I'm about to wrap it up, just doing some test fitting. I put the factory fuel rail in position, so it's going to be tight, and I mean extremely tight, getting these factory injectors to plug in with this. Now, one of the other things I thought about, of course, the first thing I thought about is notching out part of the cylinder head and clocking this injector a little bit counterclockwise, just to stop blocking this port right here. And that's going to be tight. Or possibly notching out the cylinder head and rotating the injector so that it can plug in like this from top side. That would be the better option that I would like to do if I have the proper clearance without having to take too much material off of these 3 cylinders right here. We'll see. I don't like notching too much of the head, but we'll see. If that's our option, then we'll have to go with that. Worst case scenario, which I do not want to do, but worst case scenario, I would have to cut this down short and make an external plug to plug into it. Cut it down short, wire, solder the tips, and run a flexible plug where I can just loosely let it hang off to the side and plug in the injectors. That would be worst case scenario. There's only 2 connections, which is very easy. But if need be, I would have to slice this off, solder my connections, and like I say, just run some manual connections, which I don't want to have to do. But if all else fails, I will do what I will have to do to get this set up to run. So we got possibly 3 options. Clocking to see if that'll give me enough clearance, flipping upside down and notching out the cylinder head, and lastly cutting this. You know, of course I'm not doing away with that, so I'm not even putting the option of doing away with my direct injection. So we shall see. Somehow some fat little froggy hopped on top of my brother's TT and looking for food to eat. And I was wondering, I saw a couple of bugs that looked like eating up on the top inside the wiper towel. So I guess I found the predator. Just received some more goodies in for Teddy's TT, and I'm pretty happy. I already peeked in the box with the products I received, and this is going to help work great. So this is a teaser, but let's go with the teaser first. Yes, this baby is nice. I like this. This is going to come in handy. So this, of course, manifold, I'm just using this for reference because we're doing a center feed. We switch from this to the center feed intake manifold. The center feed in our application is a far better fitment, as well as it has more volume than this setup right here. So we're starting off on a better track. And this will bolt directly for here. This actually is working out for my initial plan. So off of the center feed throttle setup, I will mount this, weld a 3.5 inch pipe off of this, come down to a 90, and then make preparation for my Bosch Motorsport throttle body. And what comes into position for the throttle body is this right here. This is sweet. So this, one of the things, a little small pet peeve that I wasn't too happy with a lot of the Bosch Motorsport ones that comes on the Volkswagens, doesn't have the provision for O-ring. So this flange already here has that provision, which will work excellent. Check this out, direct bolt up. This will work excellent. So I'll have excellent sealing with a O-ring to help seal this. Come off of this with a pipe. Come off of this, as I stated, with a pipe, and run that pipe over into another pipe that feeds intake. So that is going to be awesome setup. Center feed intake manifold, have a pipe coming off, run a 90, run my 90 into my throttle body. Throttle body will bolt up. All right, this is coming into fruition. This is going to be awesome. And you can look at how this flares out. So this has a nice taper. This will flare out into my pipe. Now this is the kicker. I can go with even more intake volume if I want with this pipe setup. And I'm going to do a pause and show you why. And actually, I didn't even really have to pause. I have my micrometer here. So this is set up for, check out that, 4 inches. 4 inches. WTF. What the F? I mean, come on. 4 inch. All right. Over here. Here we go again. 4 inch. I could literally run a 4 inch pipe, come off my throttle body, have it flare out to a 4 inch pipe if I wanted, and have a 4 inch huge pipe feeding my intake manifold. Now, needless to say, the length of pipe that I'm running with a 4 inch is easily, I want to say, 1.5 feet, 2 feet, easy 2 feet. 2 feet of pipe work, 4 inches is definitely going to add quite a bit of extra volume to our intake manifold setup. So we should be set for having some good volume. But anyway, let's keep playing with the pieces of the puzzle. It'll be for the centipede coming off of here with my Bosch Motorsport. And then, of course, the extra icing on the cake is our flange for our vibrant setup. So this is going to be awesome. And then I'll have this other side come off and go right into my intercooler. So we're going to have a pretty nice little setup. I can picture it in my mind. I already envisioned it. So now I have to put it together so the world will see. So basically I'm going to have to decide on what pipe work I'm going to use. Now this is vibrant, can we get a shot right there, 4-inch out of diameter piping. And just for reference, let's see how this would all look. Probably should have took it out of the package. 4-inch pipe is so large, getting it out the bubble wrap was a challenge. Okay, here we go. Check this out. This looks sweet. So we're talking a 4-inch fitment. That will look beautiful. Coming off of something like, let's get rid of the bubble wrap and just stand it up. Here. And something like this as a reference. Yeah, that would come out to be pretty nice. Sweet. Yes, I think this is going to turn out to be pretty good. If you look at this 4-inch pipe compared to the plenum, this is adding a tremendous amount of volume to our whole intake track for our intake manifold. I just can't stop laughing. The reason I can't, and I apologize, because by the time these videos come out, I'm laughing because I know we're going to be making some huge power. I can see it, I can envision it, and I can feel it, and that's why I'm sitting here laughing. So it's going to be a nice setup. Okay, I have my pipe inside my chop saw, and I used a piece of cardboard, or actually a toilet paper roll, to use as my first template, as you can see right here, for cutting my pipe to get that offset that I need to get this intake plenum tucked in tight enough so that it's not making contact with the radiator, but have enough clearance so that it's tilted back to clear my staged injection fill rail and be tight enough inside the engine compartment where I'll still have good clearance to also run my spacer. So let's get a cut and see how this turns out. Okay, first cut doesn't look so bad. We got a nice little taper with a bottom end that's tucked in close. I'll deburr this and let's get up a little closer and see how this fits. So I want to probably go maybe a couple centimeters more just to give it that little extra clearance so that it's not making contact with the rail support. Technically I can cut that off or trim it down, but we'll see. This is a test fit anyway. mini cut off. So I'm gonna use this for cutting the injector connectors, top connector off, and I can solder the wires directly onto the tabs.